We just got back from our family trip to Universal Orlando, and I wanted to share with you guys some of the tips and tricks that I learned along the way. First things first, I went as a family of 4, me, my husband, and my 2 young kids, a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. And we went the week after Easter, which is my kids' spring break time. If you're unfamiliar with Universal Orlando, it's actually 3 separate parks. Think like Disney World. It's just like that. And my first tip or trick is to make sure you give yourself 1 full day for every park. Do not try to cut one of the days short, especially Epic Universe, which I'll get into a little bit later. Make sure your kids are at least 40 inches tall. That's pretty much the threshold for most of the rides. My 4-year-old is like 40.5 inches, and he was able to go on everything that he wanted to go on. A large percentage of the rides in all 3 parks are those like 3D, 4D motion simulated rides. So the height requirements are a lot lower than if it was like an actual roller coaster. Now there is a few actual roller coasters where the height requirements are a little bit higher, but you kind of have to just look at the map and click into each of the rides and see what the height requirements are for each ride to figure that out. If you have young kids, absolutely bring a stroller, mostly because the stroller can hold all of your things, your jackets, your ponchos, your bags, your water bottles, your gifts, all of those things you can put in your stroller, which is like really nice to have. And there's plentiful space and areas to park your stroller, and I felt like they were all secure. I was never worried about my stroller being left unattended. Depending on what time of the year it is, make sure you have a poncho or a rain cover for your stroller so you can cover it up before you go on to the rides, because it's going to get wet otherwise. It rains a lot in Florida. Definitely wear a backpack with all of your things in it, especially if you have young kids. Make sure you put snacks in the bag and wear the bag while you're waiting in line so you have access to all of your stuff. So the 3 parks are Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure, and Epic Universe. There's also a water park, but we didn't go there. Epic Universe is about 4 miles away from all of the other parks. So it's kind of on its own. You have to park separately to get there. You have to drive there. So it's definitely a park you want to plan its own separate day for. But Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure, and their City Walk is all in one location. You park once to get to all of those things. Parking is certainly something you want to consider if you have small kids. It takes a while to park and then get all your stuff out of the car and then walk into the park. You have to go through security. There's elevators involved. There's lots of people involved and lots of walking involved. So just plan for about, I would say, 20 to 30 minutes of parking and walking before you even get to the gate of your park. Universal City Walk is basically an outdoor mall. It has a bunch of different kinds of restaurants and shops that are all Universal themed. A hot tip for this is parking is free after 6 p.m. Otherwise, it's $35 to park. So if you're planning on going to City Walk like the day you arrive just to kind of check things out, maybe get your tickets, go after 6 because you can park for free. In fact, I heavily recommend you go and check out City Walk the day before you go to the parks, the night before you go to the parks, so that you can get your tickets. So you don't have to wait in line to get your tickets before you enter the park the day of. Also, you can get all of your souvenirs, your memorabilia. All of the gift shops that are inside of Universal Studios are also outside on the City Walk, so you can get everything ahead of time. You can get your power-up bands for Epic Universe, which we'll talk about in a little bit. You can also even get your magic wands for Harry Potter World if you wanted to skip like the Ollivanders experience. There is one restaurant called Toothsome's Chocolate Emporium that you absolutely have to check out when you're on the City Walk. It has its own little gift shop that you can just kind of pop into with little chocolates, desserts, candies, shirts, merchandise, but the actual restaurant is delicious. A lot of the menu items are like chocolate themed, and so there's like a chocolate twist to all of them. All the drinks, all the entrees, the appetizers, the desserts, like it is so good. But make sure you make reservations ahead of time. My recommendation is to make reservations for a day that you're at Universal or Islands of Adventure, because the restaurant is right outside of those parks. You can just walk out and then pop back into your park if you wanted to. but definitely make reservations ahead of time. Now, when it comes to food and drinks inside of the park, there's lots of different food options. You can view all of the menus online ahead of time if you want to kind of plan out if your kids are picky eaters. You can also just pack lunches for your kids. We brought peanut butter sandwiches and our kids ate that for lunch every day. A lot of the restaurants have indoor seating, which is really nice if it's raining or if it's really, really hot. When it comes to drinks, I heavily recommend getting the reusable Coca-Cola Freestyle cups. You can order them online ahead of time and just pick them up when you get to the park. You can also just buy them at any of the Coca-Cola Freestyle stations once you get there. But these cups are plastic refillable cups. They have a handle on them, so they're easy to carry. And there are hundreds of these like drink stations that you can just walk up to in all of the parks to refill your drink. You can fill up every 10 minutes, or if you just wanted water, you can fill up whenever. It doesn't have any time limit. They also have popcorn buckets that have the same general concept. They're about $15 at first, and then it's like $3 to fill them up throughout the parks. And these all work across all of the parks. Okay, so we started our day one at Universal Studios, just the main park, the one you think of when you think of Universal Studios. We got to the park about 30 minutes before the gates open, and that is something that I definitely recommend you try to do. It's a long day for the kiddos. We were there from open to close. It's a 12-hour day, but if you plan your rides ahead of time and like your path ahead of time, then you can walk onto a few rides before it starts to get really busy and the wait times start to get really long. So Universal Studios has things like Transformers, Minions, the Sing characters. Of course, there's also Harry Potter World, the Hogwarts Express train. Hot tip for this is you have to have park hopper passes in order to ride the train, because you hop from Universal Studios to Islands of Adventure. It is park hopping, but I feel like it's worth it. The train ride was pretty cool. If there are certain rides that you absolutely want to go on, make sure you beeline for those rides as soon as you get in the park, because the queues start to fill up really fast and the lines can get really long. Which brings me to my next tip about the express passes. I went into this whole experience totally blind. I didn't have any hot tips or tricks or somebody giving me advice like I'm giving you. It was me and a map of each of the parks trying to figure things out. I didn't really understand what the express passes were all about. The express passes you buy on top of your admission to the park, but they are basically front of the line passes. They prioritize the express line over the regular standby line. So if you've been standing in the regular standby line for 45 minutes and somebody walks into the express line, they are going to get prioritized over you. They empty out the express line queue before they take anybody from standby. You can significantly cut down your wait time in all of the line queues if you get these express passes. If you have young kids that aren't good at standing in line, or you're on a tight timeline and you want to try to get all the rides in one day, I heavily recommend these express passes. They are not cheap, but if you can swing it, if you can afford it, I think it will really enhance your experience. A lot of the rides also have child swap, which is where there's like a little room at the front of the line. So everybody stands in line together at the front of the line. One person stays behind and watches the kids. And then when everybody gets off the ride, you can swap and that one person can go on without having to stand in line again. A lot of the bigger rides also have single rider lines, which is a small hack if you don't have an express pass. The downside to the single rider line is it goes through a different part of the queue. So if there are fun things in the waiting area, and a lot of the waiting areas have really cool visuals and animatronics and things like that, if you do single rider, you're gonna miss all of that stuff. Islands of Adventure was definitely my favorite park of the three. It seemed like the biggest as well, like spatially wise. There they have Seuss Landing, which is Dr. Seuss themed world, a lot of fun stuff for little kids. Marvel Universe, which confused me at first because Marvel is Disney, but they have all the Marvel characters there. Jurassic Park, which is If your kids love dinosaurs, if you love dinosaurs, it is so cool. And it's huge. The Jurassic Park part is huge. And yet another Harry Potter area. If you're a Harry Potter fan, you are going to love Universal. If your kids need to blow off some energy, there is a humongous dinosaur playground in the Jurassic Park area. I mean, it's huge. Adults can go in it too. It is ginormous. There's caves, there's slides. You can spend a lot of time there, but it is a great place for your kids to get some energy out. The Spider-Man ride was my absolute favorite. My kids loved it too. The line was a little bit long, but the queue was really fun. There's a character dining place in the Marvel universe where you can dine with all the Marvel characters. You have to make reservations ahead of time. It's a little bit expensive, but I think my kids really enjoyed it. All of the characters make it a point to spend a few minutes at your table, so I feel like you really get your money's worth if you're trying to meet the Marvel characters. A tip that we discovered while we were there is the line for the Hogwarts Express is typically shorter on the Islands of Adventure side. Like, so you go from Islands of Adventure over to Universal Studios versus the other way. The line on the Islands of Adventure side is a lot shorter. So if you don't care about what's going on in the queue as far as like the interactive experience on either side, you just want to ride the train, walk over to Islands of Adventure and take it that way. It's a lot faster. Now, when it comes to the Harry Potter worlds, there's something Harry Potter at all of the parks and on the City Walk. You can buy a wand at all of the parks or on the City Walk, but if you want the Ollivanders experience, you have to do it at Universal or Islands of Adventure. I also recommend you try to get a Gen 2 wand. Those ones can sync up to the app on your phone and you can kind of track all of the spells that you do. Those wands light up and vibrate. They're not that much more expensive than the Gen 1 wands, but I do think that there's a lot of benefits in getting those versus the Gen 1 wand. Most of the rides there also have single rider and child swap options, so if you're traveling with kids, you'll be okay. There are also quite a bit of water rides where you're gonna get totally soaked at Islands of Adventure, so make sure you bring an extra pair of clothes for yourself and your kids if you plan on going on those rides. Epic Universe is the newest of the 3 parks at Universal, and this is where I feel like I really dropped the ball as far as not doing enough research and planning. This park is about 4 miles away from everything else, so you do have to park separately. It's almost impossible to park hop between Epic Universe and the other parks just because of distance. Also, if you're looking at the map of Epic Universe, you might think to yourself like, wow, I feel like we can do this in a half a day and plan stuff for the other half of the day. Don't make that mistake. Plan on staying there the whole day, especially at nighttime, because apparently nighttime is when that park really comes alive. There's a lot of different lights and like visuals that you see at nighttime versus the daytime. Epic Universe has Nintendo World, How to Train Your Dragon, Harry Potter, and Dark Universe. We spent a good 5 hours just in Nintendo World. It takes that long. I think part of the issue with Epic Universe is it is the newest park. It's only been open for I think a year, so it is so super packed. Unless you have express passes, you need to plan on standing in line quite a bit for pretty much everything, including restaurants. But visually, this park is by far the most intricate and the most, like, it's the coolest looking park for sure. They really did a good job at making sure that when you turn the corner to enter into a different universe, be it Nintendo, Harry Potter, How to Train Your Dragon, it feels and looks like you are going into a totally different world. The buildings, the architecture, the costumes, everything is just so thought out. It's really cool. I have young kids, so we naturally spent most of our time in Nintendo World, which is Mario and Donkey Kong. My tip for you is to get your power-up bands at City Walk the night before. Don't try to do it the day of. You're going to need to give yourself time to sync your band to the app on your phone, and you're definitely going to want a band. I think the kids and the adults would want the bands. They're $45 each, but they make the experience so much better. There's a lot of stuff that you cannot do without your band, so just get the bands. Trust me, it's worth it. There is not a lot of shade or walking space in Nintendo World, so just make sure you bring a hat and park your stroller before you even enter the world. Don't skip out out on Dark Universe. That universe is really cool. The actual universe isn't scary for kids. The ride is too scary for kids, but definitely walk through it. They also have a pretty big playground in the How to Train Your Dragon area. Again, if your kids need to get some energy out, it's a great place to go. In addition to your power-up bands for Nintendo World, make sure you bring your magic wands with you because the Harry Potter world at this park also has a bunch of interactive stations. And like I said before, make sure you stay until it gets dark outside because this park has so many fun lights and visuals that you're going to want to see at nighttime. Okay, you guys, so those are all the tips and tricks that I picked up from my trip to Universal Orlando. If you have any questions, definitely let me know, but I hope this helped you out if you're planning a trip, especially if you have young kids.